Are you ready to relive the past? Well, step right up. We have Atari, PlayStation, Nintendo, Sega. Get ready for a wild ride. Don't go anywhere, stay tuned. Get ready to take a trip down memory lane. That table can only mean one thing. It's time to show off a awesome collection of different wrestling games that we have here. And this is my wrestling video game collection. We're going to start off with the Atari 2600. I only own one wrestling game for the Atari 2600. Title Match Pro Wrestling. Let's take a look at the awesome label right there. You got a bunch of generic looking wrestlers from, back in the 80s. Look at that. It's made by Absolute Entertainment, and this came out like 87. This is one of those late Atari 2600 releases. And Wrestling Week is a few days away. This is one of the games that you will definitely see. Wrestling Week, we'll definitely be playing this game. So yeah, March 31st to April 7th is Wrestling Week. There's going to be non-stop wrestling games, and this is going to be one of them right here. Check that out. Title Match Pro Wrestling. Alright, next on the list right here of different wrestling games that I'm going to be showing you guys from my collection is NES, Nintendo Entertainment System wrestling games. Alright, let's start off with the first game right here. We got one of the best ever right here. We got WrestleMania Steel Cage Challenge with Macho Man Randy Savage, Bret the Hitman Hart, The Undertaker, the Mountie, and Hulk Hogan right there on the front cover. And you got Ted DiBiase and Macho Man battling out in the steel cage right there in the center. At the end label, it's a little weathered and beat up here and there, but still plays fine. And I bought this over in Connecticut at a game exchange. I couldn't resist not buying it. And you can see that the label is a little worn out here and there, but it's not bad. Alright, the next wrestling game that I have here is Pro Wrestling for the NES. You can see the label is also a little beat up here and there. It's not as bad as the last one. Now this is the exclusive Nintendo wrestling game. You got the little manual over here. Look at that. Look at that. The somersault kick. Look at that. That's crazy. That's, I kind of don't want to put that in there. This label's kind of peeling right here. Look at this. It's already past this point where it's going to be peeled no matter what. And the next game. Well, this is a really good one right here. I bought this one just for the box art. That's it. WrestleMania, the first WrestleMania on the NES. Let's see if we can see that. Got Hulk Hogan right there. Look at that. That's cool. Almost looks like a VCR tape box. Look at that. WrestleMania. Got WrestleMania and also this is one the WrestleMania logo looks really, really cool. I wish they still had that logo. You have the awesome Acclaim logo right there also. Look at that. That is awesome. And the box right there. Let's take a look at this right here. Yeah, Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah. Got the Andre the Giant, Honky Tonk Man, Ted DiBiase, Bam Bam Bigelow. And this featuring Hulk Hogan and other WWF superstars. Of course, they don't care about listening to the other ones. Hulk Hogan is like the big draw back then. You got the screenshots. Of course, this game wasn't that good at all, but the box art was amazing. Look at that. Now, if we open this up right here, I don't open this up that often, so I can bet your ass that this cartridge is nice and clean. Look at that. Looks like it's brand new. It's probably never been played that much at all. It's pretty damn good condition right there. That is awesome. Let's see if we can get it back in that box without doing any damage or anything like that. I wonder what else is inside this box. Let's explore inside the box for a second. We got the holder right here. Now, I don't have too many box NES games because the boxes are so flimsy that I hate the boxes. And it makes no sense to have it if it's gonna be that flimsy. You can see in the bottom of these boxes they put like a little styrofoam thing. Alright, so we have the WrestleMania manual, and it's in really good shape. It does have a little bend right here in the corner, and we have an Acclaim Game Pack Warranty registry card. I have to fill this out and send it to Acclaim, and that's what's inside that box. I thought I would find like a surprise, like a poster or something cool like that, but I am disappointed. Let's put this back in there and keep it in the condition that I was in. It's in okay condition. See right here, the box is, excuse me, a little beat up here and there. It's not in the greatest shape, but it's okay. Alright, so for the Sega Genesis, I have exactly one wrestling game. And the one wrestling game is Saturday Night Slam Masters by Capcom. And I'm pretty sure you guys probably played this before. And check this, I got the screenshot. You got the exclusive death match with the barbed wire ring right there. That is actually pretty cool. And you got, look at that. You got Saturday Night Slam Masters as it get ready to bust some heads right there. Got the logo right there on top. The 1 or 2 player, and it's rated T for teen animated violence. This actually had a T rated, rated T for teen. And a lot of the Sega Genesis games, the earlier ones, didn't have ratings. You got the Genesis logo right there. You got the Capcom and Saturday Night Slam Masters on the spine. Of course, if you open up the actual case, I don't have the manual, but I do have the cartridge, and that's all I care about. Alright, so for the next batch of wrestling games will be the American Super Nintendo console. And first, I know I have 2 wrestling games for Super Nintendo. I have, once again, Saturday Night Slam Masters. And I do actually enjoy playing the SNES Super Nintendo version better. And you can see right here I printed out these little end labels. I put it inside these cases so that when I put it in the shelf I can actually see what game is what. That's my copy right there. And then of course I have Royal Rumble for the Super Nintendo. It's an LJN game. Oh boy, oh. Let's get the LJN logo real closer here. Check that out. Got that LJN logo right there. Look how close I am. That's crazy. And the cover right here. Yeah, Bret Hart. You got The Undertaker, Mr. Perfect with a chair. They just had to add that chair in there. That's funny. And you got Yokozuna, you got Razor Ramon, and you got Shawn Michaels right there. You got the Royal Rumble logo right there on top. That's the best looking Royal Rumble logo. You got the Nintendo Steel Quality. And on top you have the WWF logo with the Royal Rumble. And that chair right there is just funny. I know in this game you can use a chair, I think. I know Raw and Royal Rumble, they had that one weapon in the game. Let's do a little comparison here to the Genesis cartridge and the Super Nintendo cartridge for Saturday Night Slam Masters. Which label art do you like better? Do you like the Genesis? Or do you like the Super Nintendo? Check that out. Got all kinds of stuff going on here. Alright, the next console that I have a pretty decent collection of wrestling games. It's the Japanese Super Nintendo, the Super Famicom. So unlike the Super Nintendo, I only had 2 games. On the Japanese Super Famicom, I have a lot more than 2 games, which you will see in a second. We'll start off with the first game right here. Get this Japanese wrestling game right here, which I wrote the translation on the side. It's Tenryu. I'm not gonna. It's Pro Wrestling Revolution. We'll just keep it at that. I'm not gonna try to pretend I can read Japanese that well, but it's Pro Wrestling Revolution, and you got the cool box art, and the wrestler that's on that box art that's actually his name right there. We got the cool box art right there. Look at that. He's definitely a. And one thing about the Japanese Super Nintendo games, they have that Super Famicom logo right there, and you have somewhere around here. Where the hell is it? Oh yeah, up here. There's like a little code. So if you don't know exactly what this game is, judging by the title right there, you can actually look that code up and it'll tell you. And then we have Astro Bout. Now this game is, it might not be considered a wrestling game, but it kind of is. It's kind of like a mixed martial arts, wrestling, hybrid, weird game. I'm not sure what you want to call it, but it's Astro Bout. It's interesting. Eventually you'll see this. And then we have this one right here. This is a Power Pro Wrestling 96 Max Voltage. And I believe this is the wrestling game that kind of used like 3D type graphics, but they were pre-rendered. It's quite the interesting game. We'll have to play this someday. And you can see the little tag right there of how much it costed. And I have yet to play most of these games, but eventually we'll play them. And here's a unique Japanese Super Famicom game. It's an American WWF Super WrestleMania Japanese copy, Acclaim Japan. Check that out. That is insane. And of course, on the cover right here, they got the Road Warriors. They got the Macho Man Randy Savage. They got the Jake the Snake Roberts, Sid Vicious, and got Hulk Hogan right there. And we got the WWF Super WrestleMania for Japanese Super Famicom. That's interesting. Then we have another WWF Japanese game right here, Royal Rumble. And with the Royal Rumble, I believe that the American and the Japanese label is a little different. So you got the Super Famicom logo right there. You got the WWF Royal Rumble logo, the Acclaim, and somewhere down here. Yeah, let's take a look right here. This is the American one, and this is the Japanese one. So something's a little different here. Let's do a side-by-side comparison. It looks reversed. For some reason, they reversed the actual image. That is really bizarre. So instead of... Wow, that is really interesting. I never noticed that until now. So this image right here, it's actually reversed. Like, you see Shawn Michaels is on the right side. Well, guess what? Shawn Michaels is on the left side on this one. I have no idea why they did that. That's really, really strange. But on the Japanese copy, it's completely reversed to what the American copy is right there. That is really bizarre. And then we got ourselves some New Japan Pro Wrestling right here. And that's the name of the game right there, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Senshi in Tokyo Dome. We've got some really cool stuff going on here. You check those two famous guys out right there. You got Jushin Liger right there. And we got the fantastic story of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Got the awesome New Japan Pro Wrestling logo right there. Let's see if we can get closer. Yeah, look at that. That's awesome looking. Now, New Japan Pro Wrestling is becoming more and more popular over in North America. You got the Bullet Club, you got Kenny Omega, you got all those guys. Sure, they're forming AEW, a whole new wrestling promotion that may actually be able to compete with WWE. We'll see what happens. Wish them good luck. And we got this New Japan Pro Wrestling game as well, and it features two of the previous guys I wanted to cover on that one right there. New Japan Pro Wrestling 94 Battlefield and Tokyo Dome. Check that out. Got Jushin Liger Thunder right there. I love his mask. That's pretty cool. I think that might be the Great Muta, but I'm not sure. I don't want to start naming wrestlers off and then get them wrong. And you can see right there the price is not that much at all. Actually, look, what is that sticker? It says "Don't dribble the cartridge," like a basketball. Is that what that means? Well, it doesn't have a cross going through it. If anyone knows what that blue sticker means, just let me know down below. That's kind of a mystery to me. And then we have this game right here, Zen Nippon Pro Wrestling Fight Japan. I believe Zen Nippon might be New Japan also. Or All Japan, one or the other. Either All Japan or New Japan. You see the label is coming off a little bit right there. Other than that, it's in pretty good shape. It does have some oxidation right there. And you got the Japanese font over the place. It came out in '94, I guess. I believe that's Antonio Inaki right there in the center. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. But this is a game that I never played either. We'll have to check that out. And then we have this game right here, which I didn't even label, so you're going to have to look that little thing up right there and tell me what this game is. But it's known as the Dirty Challenger, and he looks pretty dirty. Look at him. What a dirty looking heel he is. He's a Dirty Challenger. And this is a pretty dirty game. Oh, it's actually pretty clean. Look at this. There's a little bit of dirt right there. Came straight from Japan. He's a Dirty Challenger. And this is one of those wrestling games that are a little obscure, I guess. And then we have this one right here. Super Fire Pro Wrestling 3. I don't have this one labeled either, and you can see there's oxidation on it. So yeah, this is one of those Fire Pro Wrestling games for Super Famicom. And what else do we have here? What else do we have here? I believe this is another Fire... No, this is not Fire Pro Wrestling game. This is All-Star Dream Slam. This is like I think this might be a female wrestling game, which is interesting. So you got All Japan Women's Pro Wrestling. You can see it right there. So apparently All Japan Pro Wrestling had their women's division, and they had their own game right here. That's actually pretty cool. You can tell that in Japan, way ahead of their time, they took women's wrestling very, very serious, to the point where they had their own wrestling video games. And you can see at WrestleMania, they're actually going to have a women's wrestling main event. So women's wrestling has come quite a long ways. And this one is my hidden gem Super Famicom wrestling game right here. Yeah, the badass himself, Onita Asushi FMW. That's right, there's an FMW game on the Super Famicom. And if you guys don't know what FMW is, FMW had like it was crazy. They had death matches. They had all kinds of crazy stuff going on. And basically, FMW had like Terry Funk. They had Cactus Jack. All those guys having barbed wire matches, insane explosions, all kinds of crazy stuff going on. And I had no idea that this actually existed until recently. And I like, oh my god, I have to get this. This was like the first wrestling game I imported from Japan, and it was a must-have. I was shocked that this even existed. And the game is even more bizarre because it's not like your typical wrestling game. It's more like a fighting game. But you'll see that in a few days, as I actually recorded footage of this. It's quite interesting. You can see this oxidized a little bit. Alright, so next up will be some wrestling games on the PlayStation. And I do have a couple of loose games right here. We got SmackDown 2 for the PlayStation. Power Move Pro Wrestling. It's not the most common wrestling game on the PlayStation, but it's interesting. And we got WCW versus the World. The first WCW game on the Sony PlayStation. And those 3 games I own loose. Then of course we have some games that I own in cases. Let's get the bad one right here, the worst of them all. WCW Backstage Assault. Definitely a must-own if you're a wrestling game collector. It's probably the worst wrestling game on the PlayStation, but it's pretty damn funny. We got WCW Mayhem, and I'm pretty sure I own the manual to this, but I don't know where the hell. This game was actually pretty good. You got Sting right there, you got Scott Steiner, you got Goldberg, all these guys are in this game. You got cool looking Sting right there on the actual disc. That's actually pretty awesome. I used to play that game quite a bit back in the day. Then we have WCW Nitro for the PlayStation, the best version of WCW Nitro. As much as I like N64, this version was definitely much better. The one thing I love about this game is all the hidden little secrets they have. Like, there's all kinds of unlockable stuff, over the top stuff. You can play as like a snowman and all that crazy stuff. And then of course you have the sequel, WCW NWO Thunder. And look at the cool box art right there. You got the Goldberg DDP. You got the Giant right there, known as the Big Show in WWE, and you got the Hulk Hogan right there on the bottom. And this match was the first match, the first game for WCW that had a steel cage. So WCW's first game with a steel cage, and yeah, it's the same thing with Nitro. There's like a whole bunch of crazy unlockable stuff in that game. Alright, so then we have WWF Attitude. Get it. And I'm pretty sure I have the manual to this as well. You have Triple H right there doing the Suck It. And this was definitely a really good game back in the day. Of course, if you play it now, you're gonna probably get bored of it quite fast. But when this game first came out, everybody was going out and buying it. I think the best version of this game is probably the Dreamcast version. But yeah, I don't think I have Warzone, but Warzone I definitely played a lot of also. And then we have In Your House, WWF In Your House. Now originally I had this on PC, and it was pretty fun, but I have the PlayStation version, and it's actually pretty good. It's not that bad. And we got all the wrestlers right there. We got Bret Hart, Ahmed Johnson, Vader, Goldust, the Ultimate Warrior. We got Owen Hart, Triple H back when he was a Blue Blood. We got that British Bulldog, The Undertaker, and Shawn Michaels. And I actually enjoyed playing that game, even though it's not that good. And then we got the nice one right here. A nice long box version of WrestleMania the arcade game. Look at that. Of course the box is probably beat up, but it's a nice long box of WrestleMania the arcade game. Look at that. And this is, in my opinion, the best version of WrestleMania the arcade game. As much as I love Sega Saturn, but this version right here was the most intact. See all the little screenshots right there. You got all the wrestlers right here. You got Lex Luger, Bam Bam Bigelow, Yokozuna, The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, Bret the Hitman Hart, Doink the Clown. You got all these crazy, like, raster-looking graphic pop-up words. Oh, look at this. Highest graphics, big fat Yokozuna using his stomach as a weapon right there. Look at that. That is insane. Let's open it up real quick. You can see that the case is already falling apart. You got the disc right there, and of course they're advertising Street Fighter the movie on the back right there. So those are the American PlayStation wrestling games that I own. Okay, so for Japanese wrestling games right here, let's take a look at what we have. That's pretty much a big, huge variety of different things here. So we have this game right here, and this is a New Japan Pro Wrestling game. I don't know exactly what the translation is for that, but this is New Japan Pro Wrestling 2 on the PlayStation. And of course that does say something, I don't know what that says, but check that out. And the next one that we have here is, let's see what we got here. Got another wrestling game here. We got all those cool looking belts. And this is the actual code right here. You can look that up and you can know exactly which game this is. But there is a bit of a language barrier. And sometimes they will say New Japan or All Japan right here. I'm not sure which one it is. He's definitely quite the old classic wrestler. He's like almost like the Hulk Hogan over in Japan. Then we have another New Japan Pro Wrestling game, and that's probably what the Japanese writing means right there, that Tuken Ratsuden. You got the cool New Japan Pro Wrestling logo right there. And on the back, you got some gameplay screenshots. Look at that. That's fantastic. It came out, like, I guess it came out in '95. Look at that. That's quite a long time ago. And look how big these PlayStation cases are in Japan. They're huge. And then we have this really generic wrestling game that came out in Japan called, what's this called? The Pro Wrestler, Pro Wrestling, or something like that. And basically, it uses the SmackDown engine, so it's like SmackDown. Get a little screenshot right there. Let's look at this. I mean, it's pretty cool, but it's basic. It's like a watered down SmackDown. And then we have Hyper Tag Match Pro Wrestling. And this game is pretty ugly looking. You'll see, I actually recorded some footage of this game. It will actually be released in a few days during Wrestling Week. Got Hyper Tag Match, you have the little label right there. It's not that good of a game. They actually have a Ric Flair ripoff in this game. And then we have this game right here, which I believe this might be a, is it written in English? Oh yeah, look, we actually have English right here. Pro Wrestling Sengoku 2? I believe that's what that says. I'm not sure if these are actually real wrestlers or not, or if they're just fake wrestlers, but what the hell? What is that? Look at this. Let me see if we can get this camera to focus here for a second. Almost looks like a barbed wire match with some blood. That's interesting. Again, a lot of these games I never even really bothered playing that much. And then of course we have the third game right here. I believe this is definitely a New Japan Pro Wrestling game. The third New Japan Pro Wrestling game right here, and of course the case is not in the greatest shape. But it plays perfectly fine. See a little bit of the screenshots of the game right there. That's actually pretty cool. Alright, so next up here on the wrestling collection that I have for video games, tons of wrestling video games, are Nintendo 64. So let's check that out. So, the first one I have is the obvious, No Mercy. You see I put a little end label right there, No Mercy. So we got No Mercy. We got WrestleMania 2000. Oh yeah, I added the little sticky thing right there. I printed that out myself. Yeah, let's see what else we got here. We're getting into the good stuff. Got Revenge, WCW NWO Revenge. What a great game that is. We got the cool little end label right there that I printed out. That was the actual, what the side of the box looks like, but I don't have the box. So, we got WCW versus NWO World Tour. These were all really good wrestling games. Like, really, really good. And then we have this one right here. It's a New Japan Pro Wrestling, Tokyo Road 2. And my Nintendo 64 can play Japanese and American games, so those are all the N64 wrestling games I currently own at the moment. And there is quite a few other wrestling games I can get hold of, but at the moment that's all I do own for N64. Alright, so the next will be for Sega Saturn, and I do own a handful of wrestling games on the Sega Saturn. And I know what you're thinking, there's probably only like 2 wrestling games on the Sega Saturn. WWF In Your House, which I own a loose copy for Sega Saturn, and of course we have WrestleMania the arcade game for the Sega Saturn. But I do have a few other wrestling games here. The first one being Fire Pro Wrestling Blazing Tornado, or Fire Pro Gaiden. Now this is almost kind of similar to Saturday Night Slam Masters, but in Fire Pro Wrestling fashion. This is actually a really good hidden gem on the Sega Saturn. Definitely one of my favorite wrestling games. If you have a Sega Saturn and you want to import games and you love wrestling, this is a must-have right here. And then we got the next one right here, Fire Pro Wrestling X, or S that is, Fire Pro Wrestling S, 6-Man Scramble. And this is a standard Fire Pro Wrestling game, and you can see all kinds of crazy stuff going on there. Look at that, that is insane. And that's your standard Fire Pro Wrestling action that you would see on a lot of different consoles, and this is definitely a great adaptation, a great version of the game. And the last wrestling game that I own is actually a pretty cool wrestling game. Now this is an All Japan Pro Wrestling game for the Sega Saturn, which is quite impressive. You got the list of wrestlers right there on the side right there. Giant Baba, you got Misawa, all those Kabashi. Look at that. And you got some actual virtual fighter characters in this game as well. So you see it's featuring virtual fighter characters. So it's All Japan Pro Wrestling game. And take a look at the back right here. You got, I believe that's Giant Baba right there. And this is not really a well-known game. And it actually shocked me because this game is actually really good. And I believe I made a video of this, so it will definitely be airing during Wrestling Week. See the screenshots, they look really good. And all the other, this game came out, when did this game come out? Like 97? A lot of the PlayStation wrestling games that came out during this time were not even as good as this game. This game was actually pretty good, really good. And with the addition of a couple of virtual fighter characters, I mean, that was a really cool exclusive to have for the Sega Saturn. That's actually quite awesome. So next up are a few Sega Dreamcast wrestling games that I personally own. And the first being Fire Pro Wrestling D. Hands down my favorite Fire Pro Wrestling game of all time. You got some really cool matches in this. You got like UFC cage matches, as you can see there. You got crazy death matches. You got all kinds of crazy exploding cages, all kinds of crazy stuff going on in this game. And I love the graphics. I felt like the graphics were like the best on Dreamcast for this game. This game was definitely shined on the Dreamcast quite a bit. Nice hidden gem. And I used to own a burned copy of this game that was translated in English, but I actually bought the real copy, and I'm very glad that I own the real copy of it now. But it's in Japanese, so it's a little tough. And then we have this one right here. Token Rosedin 4, And I believe that this might be a New Japan Pro Wrestling game, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is the New Japan Pro Wrestling game. I got some screenshots right there. Let me check that out. And I believe that this might actually, let's see, this came out in 1999. So this game actually had NWO Japan in the actual game itself. So even though there was no WCW game on Dreamcast, this actually had NWO Japan inside the game, which is quite interesting. And the next game that we have here is Giant Graham, All Japan Pro Wrestling 2. And technically, the first All Japan Pro Wrestling game was on the actual Sega Saturn, which is what I actually showed you a second ago. And this also features Virtual Fighter characters right there. And check this out. You got all your wrestlers right here. You got Big Van Vader right there. Heck yeah. You can't have a cool Japanese wrestling game without Vader. You got the cool little memory card right there with the screen on it. And once again, Giant Paba's on the back of the cover right there. And I think they're using the same exact image from the other game. I mean, look at that. This is the Sega Saturn one right here. Part 1 and this is part 2, and it's the same exact image. Look at that, that's funny. So they really made a big deal about him. He was like the Hulk Hogan over in Japan. And then we have Giant Graham 2000. This is the third installment of the game. I mean, look at that, you got, what the hell is his name? Why the hell am I not remember his name? He actually was killed over in Puerto Rico. Bruiser Brody. That's his name. Bruiser Brody. And he wrestled quite a bit over in Japan. He went back and forth between Japan and the United States and Puerto Rico. And that is so cool that he's actually in the game. You got Big Van Vader, you got Stan Hansen, you got all these cool games. Cool guys right here. Steve Williams, I think, is in the game. Look at that. And once again, the same exact Giant Baba picture on all 3 cases. That's impressive. I mean, Giant Baba must have been a big deal over in Japan. That must have been like the signature picture for him. Let me look at this. All 3 games. The picture just kept getting bigger. So those are the Sega Saturn and Sega Dreamcast wrestling games. Let's see what else we can fish up. Alright, so the next console that I will show off for wrestling games are... we'll show off GameCube here, because these are actually all the original copies that I actually owned back in... when they actually first released. WrestleMania 18 for Nintendo GameCube with the WWF shiny emblem right there. This was the first game that I bought on GameCube back in 2002. And this game released in 2001, but I bought my GameCube probably early 2002. And I bought it from a Target back in Connecticut. And this was the first, this is the actual copy that I bought with my GameCube. And I owned the black GameCube at the time. And this is it. This is the original copy. So this weathered manual and the disc itself, this is the real thing that I bought back in 2002. Which is incredible that I've had this game, this actual copy, for that long. And I played the hell out of this game. This is definitely one of my favorite games. Got Hulk Hogan right there. We got Stone Cold Steve Austin. Definitely one of my favorite wrestling games. And then, of course, couldn't wait till the next wrestling game came out on GameCube. WrestleMania 19. And this game was freaking awesome, man. And once again, you got the shiny looking WWE logo right there. Look at that. That's actually pretty cool. Rated T for teen. And they got Kurt Angle right there. And man, I could not wait to buy this game when it came out. And I think I bought it the first day it came out. And we got story mode. They're pushing the story mode right there. And You may be wondering what's going on there. Yeah, that's Undertaker about to kill like a security guard, like for real. And we got HBK, and yes, there is a crazy mode in this game where you can literally kill security guards, and it's basically a beat 'em up game instead of a wrestling game. It's crazy. You know, that's definitely hands down one of my favorite wrestling games. And then we have Day of Reckoning. Day of Reckoning is one of those games that, man, I couldn't wait for this game to come out either. The graphics look so good. I mean, look at this. Andre the Giant. We got Kane. And this was around the time when Kane unmasked himself. This is probably one of the first games that had Kane with no mask. So I thought that was awesome. It was really cool. I was back in probably... I was a senior in high school, I think, when this came out. Yeah, Randy Orton doing an RKO. I believe that might be Stacy Keibler. Now, the cool thing is, this game came out, what, 2004? Pretty sure this came out, yeah, 2004. So, yeah, this is the original copy that I owned, and there's a little hidden little thing about this particular copy. Just back when I was in high school, I've been waiting for this game to release for so long. And back when I was in high school, I took up like Photoshop and all that stuff, and I created my own label art. So you can see this is the original, and this is my label art that I made. Day of Reckoning. And I got Kane right there. We got the THQ logo. I actually made this back in like 2004. I mean, look at this. This is like a little high school project. Before the game even came out, this is what I made. Spine label right here. Got the WWE logo right there. Day of Reckoning, GameCube. I think I did a pretty good job. What do you think? And of course it's on paper, so you can tell that it's like bootleg looking. And yeah, this was around the time when Kane first took his mask off, so there's a huge emphasis on that. And I thought it was pretty awesome. And look at that. Day of Reckoning 2 with all the like smoke and the fire, all the crazy looking. And I put that down there, World Wrestling Entertainment, copyright 2004. And it almost looks authentic, but it's not. And again, this is something I actually made back in high school. And I remember the first day that the game came out, I kept it always behind the real case. And yeah, that's a nice little personal thing, attachment I have to this game. So let's put that back in there. And this is one game that I played the hell out of before I went to the army. So let me see here. There we go. And that little hidden case will remain there. And then of course we have Day of Reckoning 2. Could not wait to buy this game when it came out. And of course, this is like one of the first wrestling games that featured, or the series that featured women on the front cover. Look at that. You got Trish Stratus right here, and then we got Stacy Keibler right here. And then on the back you got Batista, who's facing Triple H at WrestleMania. And look at the graphics on this game. Has such good graphics, like way better than what you would normally see during that time. You got John Cena right there with his profanity hat right there. You see Rook Fools. You can tell what that's supposed to mean. Got Hulkamania right there, brother running wild right there, doing a leg drop, and we got all kinds of crazy stuff going on. Got the unlabeled Day of Reckoning 2. What a great game this was. And this is still the original copy that I owned. And I know I had a memory card in one of these. I don't know which one. Maybe I took it out. But I had saved files on these games somewhere. So I played them quite a bit. And those are my GameCube wrestling games. And now for some really, really crazy oddball Japanese PlayStation 2 wrestling games that I own. Let's take a look at this. We got Wrestle Kingdom, which I believe is definitely a New Japan Pro Wrestling game. We got Wrestle Kingdom. I made a little piece of paper and I put it in there. It's not actually stuck to the actual label itself, but it actually helps me identify what game is what. And you can see that the The actual label has all kinds of different wrestlers in this game. Look at that. You got Brock Lesnar right there. Check that out. You got Prince Albert. And that's Wrestle Kingdom for Japanese PlayStation 2. And then we have Wrestle Kingdom 2. And this cover right here, this label has all kinds of goodies on it. You got Vader, you got Terry Funk, you got Stan Hansen. Look at that. That's incredible. Got all kinds of cool stuff on this this label. We got Abdullah the Butcher up there. Look at that. That is incredible. That's one of the coolest wrestling labels I've seen in quite a long time. Then we got the character models right there. We got Stan Hansen right there. And check this out. This is really cool. Big Van Vader right there. Vader was quite popular over in Japan. Got a couple of screenshots of what the game looks like right there. I wonder if you play as Abdullah the Butcher, if you can pull the fork out and start stabbing people in the forehead. Now here's a bit of an oddball. Got SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, the Japanese copy. And the reason why I bought a Japanese copy is because I own a Japanese PS2. And it makes no sense for me to buy an American PlayStation 2 game when I can't play it. Now that's what the back looks like. It says, "Watch your back," and it has all the Japanese font. You got Brock Lesnar right there, Rey Mysterio. Got a little something going on right there. Oh boy! And now this wrestling game did have a female on the cover as well. This was back in 2002, but she was kind of hidden off in the corner right there in the bottom. That was not Tori Wilson. Is that Tori Wilson? It might be. We got the big, huge, nasty Brock Lesnar, who's still on the top of the mountain in WWE. He's definitely the best thing going right now. We have this wrestling here, King of Colosseum. Now, this is really weird because, as you can see here, there's two King of Colosseum games. There's a green one and there's a red one. And I guess this is the difference. We're here. We got Noah 01 and the other one's like All Japan, New Japan. And I mean, look at this. I guess it was meant to be like that. Pretty cool. You got various different wrestlers on here. You got Big Van Vader on this one right here. Here's the green one right here. We have a whole bunch of different wrestlers. You got Vader. And of course, if you know Japanese wrestling, you'll see quite a bit of Japanese wrestlers on here that you may be familiar with. I never actually played this game. Actually, most of these games I never played. I just collected them. Got Stan Hansen right there. And that looks like the Great Khali. Look at that. I had no idea he was even in that game. That's interesting. And once again, this is the other King of... what is this? King of Colosseum. I guess in Japan they had quite a few wrestling games. What's that? Create a Wrestler mode? It's actually pretty cool. And then of course the next one on the list right here is Fire Pro Wrestling Z. And nothing really fancy on the cover. It's a bunch of Japanese text, and much like the Dreamcast version, you do have like the Octagon UFC cage. And it looks like you have like a death match on there. You got some entrances right there. Make your way to the ring. And never really played too much into this game, but still my Dreamcast Fire Pro Wrestling D is still my favorite. And what else do we have here? Let's take a look. We got All-Star Pro Wrestling. And All-Star Pro Wrestling, the back looks pretty plain. Look at that. There's nothing really much in the back. I mean, you do have actual real wrestlers in here. But they really didn't really advertise really that much. They just have a wrestling ring, that's it. You can see like all the different wrestlers are here. I guess they list the wrestlers. And then finally, All Japan Pro Wrestling Part 2. They actually have a couple of wrestlers on the cover. Check that out. Got the All Star Pro Wrestling. I might have said All Japan Pro Wrestling, but it's actually All Star Pro Wrestling. Once you get to Japanese wrestling games, it gets a little confusing. Got a couple of the screenshots right there, and what do we got here? Is this old school wrestling matches in black and white? Check that out. We got the New Japan Pro Wrestling logo right there. It looks like that's the Noah logo and 01. And then we have All Star Pro Wrestling 3. And this is made by Square Enix, by the way. Same people that make Final Fantasy. Look how cool that label is. I mean, that's pretty cool. That little Coliseum right there and the big huge wrestlers in the center. And right away on top, we have the New Japan Pro Wrestling logo right there. That cool looking tiger. We got that Noah logo right there. And we got 01. And what the hell is that? That's crazy. We got some little screenshots right there. It's pretty cool. And of course, they had a little bit of Japanese humor right there. That's pretty. Let's see if we can know. What the hell is that, really? I mean, what is that? It's like they're trying to make Ronald McDonald. And then we got King of Colosseum 2. And these guys look like the Yakuza. You just don't want to mess with them. They might kill you. We got some really cool stuff going on here. Look at that. Alright, so then we have a few really odd odds and ends handheld wrestling games that we have here. We'll start off with the first one. WWF Steel Cage Challenge for the Game Gear. Oh yeah. WWF Superstars for Game Boy. Superstars 2 for Game Boy. Check that out. And then, of course, for Neo Geo Pocket, we've got Big Bang Pro Wrestling, which is quite the obscure wrestling game. It's pretty cool. Still at the box to it. Now, it's kind of like an arcade-style wrestling game. It's pretty cool. So, if you enjoyed this episode of Memory Lane, don't forget to give a thumbs up and comment down below. And let me know what your favorite wrestling game is. And stay tuned for a Wrestling Week coming soon in a few days. Starting March 31st to April 7th, Wrestling Week. Wrestling Week! High fidelity gameplay and memory lane collide. See your favorite gaming consoles: the Atari 2600, Sega Dreamcast, Sega Genesis, Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo 64, Sony PlayStation, Sega Saturn, Super Nintendo, and much more. Brought to you by eWrestlingNews.com. The Wrestle Vessel will be making a special appearance during Wrestling Week, as he is a special guest commentator for simulated WrestleMania 35 matches that will be decided by real gaming consoles. Who's going to win the big matches at WrestleMania 35? The gaming consoles will decide. March 31st to April 7th, Wrestling Week, here on Gaming Palooza Empire.